The fuck? Really? My damn laptop's got a mind of its own, guys. Hell, I pushed go live and the son of a bitch jumped over to a different page. Hello, hello. More likely, guys, this is going to be a video that you want to share around. This is a big question that people ask and really concerned about is firearm ownership to a marijuana card holder, state versus federal law. A lot of people don't understand law. Very hard thing to understand. That's the reason you got to go to college for umpteen damn years just to practice law. You have to pass a state bar exam. And law is all the time changing. Just because law is one way one week don't mean it be the same the next damn week. You got to keep up with the current law. You got to keep up with the attorney general's opinions. You got to keep up with all this shit to be within the law. You know, a lot of people out here that smokes marijuana. Hell of a lot of people out here that does. They either smoke it because they just like to smoke it, or they smoke it for a legitimate medical reason. But nevertheless, there are a lot of people out here that smokes marijuana. And that's the reason I'm making this video, because I got a phone call just a little bit ago asking me these questions. And I went and digging into some information, basically how the states are going to look at this versus the federal government. And a lot of people don't really realize that there is a difference in between state and federal law. They're not the same. No, they're not. What might not be against the law on the state level may be against the law on the federal level, or vice versa. And it depends on what type of law enforcement you're dealing with, whether they're going to charge your ass under state or federal law. True story, guys. It's a true story. So that's the reason I'm making this video here. Y'all can share around and stuff. The deal of state law is 10th Amendment. We have states' rights out here, guys. Remember what the Civil War was fought over? The 10th Amendment, state to pass laws separate from the federal government. Remember that? Well, this is where this all comes into play right here. Exactly. 10th Amendment states' rights. The state has the right to allow their citizens the use of marijuana. Don't make a damn what the federal government has to say about it, because each state has that sovereignty to pass laws different than what the federal government has. Okay, guys? And what you come into here is the federal government says marijuana is a addictive drug. It is a substance that is forbidden by federal law. Federal law has not changed. No, federal law does not trump state law. State law does not trump federal law. No, it don't. A lot of people have a big misconception about this. Trust me, I've been in these courthouses. I've had to argue both. Okay, guys? Federal law does not trump state law. Usually state law trumps federal law. You live in the state of Arkansas. You live in the state of Oklahoma. That is a state law enforcement officer that has you pulled over. He is going by the laws of the state of Arkansas. And if the laws of the state of Arkansas or the laws of the state of Oklahoma says, hey, we ain't got no law against what this guy here is doing, he's not going to charge you with some bullshit federal law. No. But if you get pulled over by a federal law enforcement officer, he's going to charge you with that federal law. He's not going to fuck with you with state law. He's going to charge you under federal law. Just keep that in mind, people. Why would that be a big concern for people in the state of Arkansas and state of like eastern Oklahoma? It's called United States federal government land. Who runs United States federal government land? Federal law enforcement officers. BLM, United States Forest Service law enforcement officers. They go by federal law, guys, not state law. They are employed by the federal government. Okay? So if they get you out on federal land within their jurisdiction or their capacity, they're going to charge you under federal law because that's what they operate under. They don't operate under state law per se. So y'all people that just living out here where there's a lot of government land, federal government land, well, take heed. They're going to enforce federal law. Remember that. Okay? Right now, as I see it, the state of Arkansas does not have any law prohibiting a medical marijuana card holder from possessing a firearm. Neither does the state of Oklahoma. They're not going to enforce federal law on their citizens because there is not a law on the books for them to enforce. As at this point, guys, at this point, mind you. Now that can change because law changes all the damn time. Okay? Now, when you pull up there in the state of Arkansas, 5-73-103, that's certain persons in possession of a firearm. It clearly states under subsection A that if you committed a felony or whatever under the Department of Justice, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, or the FBI, you cannot own a firearm unless signed by the governor or his designee or under Article B1 and B2, which you've had your records sealed under 1693-301, which that's the First Offender Act, or 1698-303G, which that is the Drug Court Act, or you got a damn governor's pardon. Anything other than that, you ain't going to be able to own a damn firearm. Okay, guys? If you've been adjudicated mentally ill or involuntarily been institutionalized in a mental hospital, that's the way it reads. Just looked it up. It don't say if you're a medical marijuana card holder. Nowhere in that statute does it say that. Until they modify 5-73-103, that's certain persons in possession of a firearm here in the state of Arkansas, they're not going to enforce federal law, from what I'm reading. So no, you don't lose your ability to possess a firearm in the state by state law. You're losing the ability to possess it by federal law or go purchase one. Because anytime you purchase a firearm through a federal firearm license holder, they run an NCIC background check on you. when you get that medical marijuana card through the state is required to turn that information over to the FBI. The FBI will enter it in their database that you're a medical marijuana card holder. You will be denied purchasing of a firearm after that point. Okay? There's going to be a big gray area here, guys, for a long time over medical marijuana card holders. Will you be able to possess a CCW and be a medical marijuana card holder? I don't know. That I do not know. More than likely not. Because the concealed carry handgun license is interstate. It means you can go from one state to the other with it. And that falls under federal jurisdiction, same as interstate commerce. That's the reason the states has got to report whoever gets a medical marijuana card, because you can take a medical marijuana card, go to the other state, get marijuana too. A lot of states are honoring each other's cards, what I'm hearing. That turns into interstate commerce. So here you go again, guys. Federal government gets to step in on it. But far as I can tell, there is no, I mean, they may be, guys. I just looked into the state of Arkansas, the state of Oklahoma. That's the only ones I looked into. I don't give a shit about the rest of the country, really. There is no law passed by either the state of Arkansas or the state of Oklahoma that forbids anybody from having a medical marijuana card from possessing a firearm. There's no law in the books. There's not been any law modified. Okay? Until that happens, they're not going to enforce federal law unless you're pulled over by a federal law enforcement officer that's his job to enforce federal law. If ATF comes and kicks in your door, or the FBI, and you're a medical marijuana card holder, they're going to charge your ass. If the sheriff's deputy down the road, which is state, sees you with a firearm, he probably ain't going to give a shit, because he don't enforce federal law. He enforces state law. Okay? Comes all back down, like I said, back to the 10th Amendment, states' rights. Well, it'll ask you in the state of Mississippi. If you're a marijuana card holder, the state of Mississippi, they do NCIC background checks, I'm pretty sure. So it's going to ask you on that federal document if you are a medical marijuana card holder, guys. Just like it's going to ask you if you're a felon or you're a fucking nut. It's going to ask you all that shit. But like I said, at this point, I have not seen no law saying you cannot possess one in the states. Now, like I said, they may come up with one. Matter of fact, I'm gonna punch in. Well, Chuck, you're just spitting out a bunch of damn codification. You're not saying what it really pertains to. No, that's just rabbit hole shit right there, Chuck. This 5-64-442. That don't mean nothing right there. Dash 442 don't pertain to a firearm any whatsoever. It don't pertain to marijuana cards whatsoever. Let's try 419. This shit all back in 2012, so it's pretty damn old as well. That don't pertain to anything about marijuana card holders. That's just your schedule on your drugs, guys, and how much you're allowed to have. That law was passed that back in 2012. Now, guys, you can't say, hey, you can have medical marijuana and you can get a card to hold it in the state of Arkansas, but we're going to enforce a 2012 law on you when we pull you over. They can't do that. They cannot do that. Drugs, yes, not legal drugs. Guys, you can have a prescription for Loricet 10650s in your vehicle, and you can have a 357 laying right there in the seat, right there beside that pill bottle. They can't do shit about it. They can't do not a damn thing about it because that is a prescription drug which you're prescribed by a doctor. Now, if those pills are in a baggie, they're going to hang your ass with that gun laying there beside it because that means you have those pills without a prescription. Means you're dealing in these pills. That prescription or that card is going to mean the difference in between your ass going to jail and your ass maybe not going to jail. Yes, I know that, Chuck. You can be charged with drugs and a gun if it's over a half ounce. But how much are you going to be allowed to legally possess under the law here in the state of Arkansas with that card? Okay. They can't say that you can have an ounce of marijuana for personal possession with a medical marijuana card, that you're within the law, then charge you with drugs and a gun and say that you're trying to distribute this marijuana that you have a license to possess by law. They can't do that, man. It's conflict of law. That goes against the ethics of law. There probably will be some court battles over this. I agree with you, Chuck. There probably will be. Just like right now, guys, there's laws on the books that they could have court battles over all the time, and they don't. State versus federal law. A state law enforcement officer is not going to charge law enforcement officer. Matter of fact, he don't even really know federal law. Let me show you something here. Do you see this? Law enforcement manual. This is the 2015 version. They've got an updated version. I ain't got one yet. This is a 2015. 99% of the laws in this Arkansas law enforcement pocket manual is valid still. These are all state laws. Okay, guys? This is juvenile law right here in this section. Domestic issues. And every law that state law enforcement officer can charge you with, searches and seizures, is in this book. Okay? This is what each law enforcement officer in the state of Arkansas has got to know. Okay, guys? This is what they go off of. When they're curious about what the fuck they can charge you under state law, they'll go back to this book to their squad car, and they'll start pulling this shit up, or they'll radio and ask the damn dispatcher to do it for them. And he will tell them what statute you can be charged under. This is what state law enforcement goes by. Federal law enforcement goes by a whole different fucking book. They don't go by this book. Okay, guys? They don't know federal law per se. They may know a few, but they don't really know federal law. They're not out there to enforce federal law. They don't work for the federal government. They work for the state government. Now, you FBI, ATF, any federal law enforcement officer, he's going to go by federal law. He's not going to go by that book right there. Now, if he brings a state law enforcement officer out with him, that state law enforcement officer will charge your ass under state law. That's the reason when all that federal law enforcement officer can do is hold you. The state law enforcement officer gets there, and then he'll chuck and take over. Okay, guys? Trust me, I studied law for years. I know quite a bit about law. That's the reason a county cop he won't charge you with a game and fish violation. But he'll hold your ass there till the damn state officer gets there. Arkansas Game and Fish, same way with federal. If a Forest Service cop catches you shooting a deer out of season, he'll hold your ass there. He'll radio in the game warden. Game warden will come out and he'll charge your ass. Sure enough. He can't charge you. He's not a state officer. Works the same. But he does have the right to hold your ass there because he knows the law has been broken. Just like right now, guys, and I know that this is happening. ATF come into one of my buddy's pawn shop. My buddy was a felon, okay, at the time. They took every fucking modern firearm out of that pawn shop. They didn't touch those muzzle loaders. Nope. They don't give a shit about black powder. Nope. It ain't under federal law for them to give a shit about black powder. Okay? But under state law, that muzzle loader is considered a firearm. It's not considered one under state law or federal law. So the ATF come in and they took every fucking modern firearm he had. They didn't touch him muzzle loaders. But under state law, county cop can come in and charge him with felony possession of firearms, those damn muzzle loaders. Because under state law, a muzzle loader falls under the definition of a firearm. And it's enforced. See my point? So, federal law is totally together different than state law. That's what a lot of people don't understand. But if he's a felon, how did he get an FFL? He didn't have an FFL. It was under somebody else's name, but he was working there. And being that he was around them, they had to go. Trust me, I know quite a bit about this shit, guys. Quite a bit about it. Jason, quit talking about him. Did the No, the ATF did not arrest him. They couldn't. They couldn't prove that them was his guns because the damn FFL license wasn't under his name. He was just an employee. They just scolded him real good. See, that's my point. But they left every damn muzzle loader there in the place. They didn't give a shit about them damn black powder guns. I also read where ATF raided this old boy that had a felony on his record. They charged him with felony possession of a firearm, okay? They told him he could have a muzzle loader. They did. Well, he thought he was in the law to have a muzzle loader. And then he was out hunting with a muzzle loader. A Game and Fish Commission officer nabbed him, charged him with felony possession of a firearm. I read the court case, matter of fact. Under state law, muzzle loader is a firearm, the same as a .357 Magnum revolver. Yeah. Now, see, back years ago, the state of Arkansas didn't give a shit about a muzzle loader. They didn't give two shits about a muzzle loader until the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, yes, a fucking newspaper, and yes, a cocksucking reporter for a newspaper, pushed the issue. Till finally, the head of the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission had to ask the Attorney General at the time, which was Dustin McDaniel, if a muzzleloader was considered a firearm under Arkansas definition, and he said yes. After that point, they started enforcing that muzzleloaders were firearms, the same as a .308. The law didn't change. It was Attorney General's opinion that they started actually enforcing a law that they should have been enforcing the whole time, but they didn't because federal law didn't give a shit about it. So I'm just kind of letting y'all know there is a big difference in between state and federal law. A lot of people just don't grip the concept, and it is a mess, very big mess, especially when it pertains to firearms, guys. I spent years studying law. I ain't have nothing else to do. Now, I've always liked studying law because I'm fascinated with law. It's a practice, guys. It's not an exact science. Things change all the time. You've got to keep track of all the new attorney general's opinions and all the new legislation passed. It's all the time changing this stuff. Now, what may be legal 5 years ago might not be legal today, or what might have been illegal 5 years ago may be legal today. And there's a lot of gray areas for a long time here in the state of Arkansas, watching and stuff, for open carry. So I researched gun laws thoroughly when I was involved in that. And I read a lot of court cases of people being charged or not being charged, who beat this, who beat that. And I studied all the case law that was basically to be found under those particular type situations. And firearm laws and people who can have firearms has changed a couple different times in between March 31st of 1995 and July, I think, the 31st of 2009. It's been back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Attorney General's opinions, case law, different things. So, yeah, there's a lot of laws pertaining to firearms, who can possess them, and what restores your firearms and stuff, all changed back March 31st, 1995. With Act 595 of 1995, changed a lot of that shit. And then it got overturned in 2009. So, yeah, there's going to be in the future, there's going to be a lot of gray area when it comes to marijuana possession and firearms in the states. There is. But really, the state is going to have to figure out where they're going to stand on the issue with firearms and medical marijuana. And then they're going to have to revise a lot of laws if they're going to actually and try to somewhat similarly copy federal law. But at this point, they haven't so far. So, guys, that's what I got to say about it. I wouldn't be too much worried about it right now, but in the future, you might. So, at this point, all I see right now is you ain't gonna be able to buy a damn firearm through a NCI, basically FFL dealer. Anybody's gonna run a NICS background check on you, you're not gonna be able to buy a gun. You're probably not going to be able to buy, possess a CCW because that's tied to federal government. Don't get pulled over by a federal law enforcement officer if you got a firearm on you. Stay the fuck off Forest Service or BLM land. You probably ain't got a whole lot to worry about. So that we'll catch y'all later. Y'all have a good one. Take care. Best advice I know. There is no